Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Belly to Belly. And we're here today to talk about SelectUSA preparation. We're here with Bryan Powrozek from Wipfli. Welcome, Bryan.
Hey, Bill, thanks for having me.
It's wonderful to have you here today. And what we're trying to do, what the real goal of these conversations is to help the companies coming to SelectUSA understand and connect and pre-connect with some of the resources that will be available for them at the event. And so if you wouldn't mind, it would be really great if you could just, take a couple minutes and explain what Wipfli does to help companies entering the US.
Yeah, definitely. And Bill, thanks for putting this together. I know attending many conferences myself, I think something this would be helpful for most of those, just to kind of help people kind of know what to expect and who they're going to be running into. But so Wipfli is a advisory, consulting, and accounting firm. Our roots are in public accounting, so most of what you'd expect: compliance, tax, financial statements. And then as the firm has grown and the needs of our clients have grown, we've added on additional services that that are able to support those clients as they grow, and then potentially even move on into selling their business or whatever it might be. And so one of those areas where we focused for a number of years has been international business. And so that can be both outbound international, so U.S. companies looking to expand overseas, or as the case may be more for SelectUSA, is that inbound foreign direct investment type client who, for some, this is their first foray into any sort of international business. And so those clients need a lot more what we would kind of deem as hand holding, right? How do you get a bank account set up? How do you get registered to do business in a state? Some of those things that we here in the US take for granted because this is just the world we came up in. So helping them with that. And so we can cover everything from initial structuring, figuring out the right legal entity to set up, where do you need to be, in terms of based around where your customers or your potential customers are going to be, what areas might make the most sense, and therefore are there any other kind of considerations, maybe tax or otherwise, that you need to take into account. All the way through, we can be your outsourced accounting department. So, and that becomes a critical piece we found, especially for the early stage startups, where if you bring a business development person over or an engineer over to start up the office, the last thing they want to learn is US taxes and how to pay payroll and do all those other things. They need to be focused just on the growing the business here versus managing the business. So we can step in and handle everything from day-to-day bookkeeping all the way up to, higher level CFO, controller type services.
It's great to hear you say that, because I know I hear, and as we're working with clients coming into the US, I know one of their concerns or things that they that may keep them awake a little bit at night is the idea that we have 50 states that in some cases have both different regulatory and compliance issues, and certainly different at times tax issues that they have to be aware of and concerned about. So having a resource like yourselves to help them navigate that is so key.
That, Bill, I will tell you, trying to explain, and I've worked in this group for about 4 or 5 years, trying to explain the state and local tax regimes to someone who hasn't grown up here, and they're not used to sales tax. They have value-added tax everywhere, right? The VAT. So what do I do about that? Well, we don't have VAT. And let me explain to you how it works. And it's a whole different and that's just all on the compliance side. Even you get some of the cultural issues of just expectations of employees here versus in Europe, and even the expectation of employee in Michigan, where I'm based, versus maybe someone in Florida or California. Those
Sure.
are two totally different things. So it's a lot to navigate beyond just the time difference, right?
Absolutely. So, obviously SelectUSA is a massive event. Some have compared it to the sort of the World Cup of US market entry. But why does Wipfli participate? What is it about the event that's important to you all?
For us, it's the fact that it gets everybody together in one place at one time, and that piece cannot be undersold. As I mentioned, I go to a lot of conferences, and during that lull for COVID, where there were no in-person events, we saw this drop off, and it just reflects the knowledge gained, the questions that can be asked when you're face to face with somebody. And so for us, obviously, selfishly, we go there to hopefully find clients, people that we can help, with their expansion plans into the US. But to connect with the economic development teams and other professionals like yourselves who serve the same market, to see, are there ways maybe that we could contribute, work together, help companies looking to expand. So that's a big part for us, is to just get to plug in with this community and get to see these things firsthand.
Yeah, I totally agree. Nothing beats face to face. It's the credibility that can be built, the relationships that can be built, obviously the information that can be exchanged. It's so valuable.
Yeah. And
yeah,
sorry, just to tack onto that, but I've seen this across the board. Someone may get a referral to us, that, hey, if you're looking to expand, you really need to reach out to these firm or any of these providers. It's when you're trying to do your day job, that's just another thing, right, that you're trying to get into. So I've often found too, the people we've run into at these events are like, I've been meaning to talk to you for 6 months now. And it's like,
right.
well, here we are. Let's take care of all your questions while we're here face to face.
Right. Yeah, it's a reminder that you exist, sort of. So thinking about the companies that are coming, some will have been to the US before. They may even have some operations already set up, and then some, this is totally new, coming to the US and certainly coming to SelectUSA. Are there suggestions that you'd have for companies coming and how they might best take advantage of both, I guess, the time at SelectUSA and at the event, or in their trip to the US?
Definitely, and it's funny because I think it's probably the same advice I give to any business owner that I'm talking to who's considering a U.S. expansion, right? And that's first really kind of establish what your goals are, and a lot of that's going to depend on where you're at in this whole process. If you've just made the decision to expand to the U.S., there's a lot of questions you need answered, and so trying to get your arms around those, understand what those might be, versus if I'm someone that's done all of my due diligence and I know, okay, I'm ready to come and I want to be in this state because my customers are all within a 50-mile radius. So now you get a whole different set of questions and things to ask. So so that would be my first thing, is just do your prep, do your planning, figure out what are you coming to the event for? What are you trying to learn? Who are you trying to meet? So that you're coming in with a strategy, versus you're going to be overwhelmed by information just walking the hall and seeing all the people who are there and things to talk about. So really have in the back of your mind what you want to accomplish. And then once you've kind of picked that box, start utilizing the tools and the resources that are available, right? Start reaching out to providers that you may want to work with. Like if I want to be in the Midwest United States, so I either want Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, something. Okay, look for the economic development teams from those states, reach out to them, set up a meeting, because you don't want to be the one waiting in line to try and talk to somebody and never get your chance. So take care of that, set some meetings in advance, and then just come ready to learn and ask a lot of questions.
Excellent. No, I love that. And thinking of what you were talking about up front in terms of setting your goals and whatnot, it for me, that the metaphor almost is as you do that well, you're making the room smaller, right? If it's 5,000 people in attendance, but you're only aiming to see 100 of them or 50 of them that are going to answer your specific questions or help you accomplish your specific goals. That seems to really align with what you're saying.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I go to some trade shows where it's like I'm just there to walk the floor and learn and see what's out there. But given this only happens once a year, right? And so you're going to have this group assembled in one place at one time. or you got to wait 365 more days to get to the next one. You definitely want to have it planned out and make the most of your time.
Ah, I love it. I love it. Bryan, this has been fantastic. Really looking forward to seeing you in June, and we'll put your contact details in the description below. So certainly anyone that wants to contact, is it okay if they do?
Oh yeah, I'm happy to speak to anyone and answer any questions I have, because that's the fun part of it to me, right? Is I feel like whether it's one of my domestic clients or an international clients, I mean, we're here to try and help grow American businesses, and if that's a foreign owned business, that's great, because it's still helping the American economy, it's still helping American workers, and so if I can do a little bit to help with that, I feel like I've done my part.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time today.
All right, thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me on.